In 1966, President Lyndon B. Johnson helped Congress pass the National Historic Preservation Act, which is an act intended to preserve historical and archaeological sites in the United States. This act also helped create the National Register of Historic Places, the list of National Historic Landmarks, and the State Historic Preservation Offices. The National Historic Preservation Act is important for the American people because of its job in helping preserve historic sites. Preservation of historic sites and monuments cost a lot of money, and the historic sites are on land that would be sold and developed by private companies for profit. It is not right for these educational reminders of our history to be lost forever. People want certain monuments to be taken down because of personal beliefs about the monument. Tearing down a historic monument does not change the fact of our history and also does not make people forget about a time in history that was and still is extremely significant. An example of a historic site that people want removed is the Columbus Circle statue in New York. Many Italian Americans view Columbus as a hero responsible for discovering the New World and have turned the city's Columbus Day parade into a celebration of Italian heritage. Others, particularly those in New York's large Puerto Rican and Dominican populations, believe history should not be so kind to Columbus, saying he used enslavement, disease, and trickery to oppress and kill thousands of indigenous people.
For 200 years, the White House has stood as a symbol of presidency for the United States government and the American people. Its history and the history of the nation's capital began when President George Washington signed an act of Congress in December of 1790 declaring that the federal government would reside in a district not exceeding 10 miles square on the river Potomac. President Washington, together with city planner Pierre L. L'Enfant, chose the site for the new residence, which is now 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Notre Dame Church. A massive blaze at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris devastated large parts of the 850-year-old church. The fire is now out, but the cathedral's iconic spire fell during the hours it took to battle the blaze. UNESCO is the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. UNESCO representatives said they were ready to help with the reconstruction of Notre Dame, especially by providing technical expertise. UNESCO formally recognizes the right of each generation to participate in humanity's heritage, including through adaptation to natural and historic process of change and transformation. The importance of Notre Dame for the people. Heritage is our legacy from the past, what we live with today, and what we pass on to future generations. Our cultural and natural heritage are both irreplaceable sources of life and inspiration.
What does culture mean to you?
Well, first let me introduce myself. And I'm Father Claudio Bergoletta. I'm the rector or superior of the Jesuits in Jersey City. And I work here at St. Aidan's, but also at the university. And I want to say hello to Dr. Edgar Rivera Colon. Your students are, as you will see, very, very thorough in their questions. So the first question is, what does culture mean to me, or how do I understand culture? Well, I would say that culture is a combination of factors, and it includes high culture. It can include fine works of literature, fine works of music, sculpture, painting, but it can also include more popular expressions of all of those things. It also involves certain tacit social mores, and I would say that all those elements contribute to the identity of a people.
Is it important to preserve one's heritage?
I think it's very important. I think there's a saying that without a knowledge of your traditions, of where you come from, without roots, you cannot soar. You cannot really move into the future in a creative way. Now, of course,